History is full of surprises, and some facts are stranger than fiction, from bizarre inventions to unbelievable events. Here are some mind-blowing facts from history you won't believe. Bomb doggies. If you were driving a tank in World War II and you saw a dog running towards you with something strapped to its back, it was game over for you. You and, sadly, the dog. This move by the Red Army, who created anti-tank dogs, was no fun for the animal. It's actually shocking to hear they exploded the dogs once they got under the tank. Stagachoach Mary. Mary Fields, aka Stagecoach Mary, was one tough lady. She had to be. After all, she was the first woman of color to deliver mail in the Wild West. Mary liked to drink, and she was a skilled shooter, so you didn't mess with her. Can you believe she used to live in a convent? She was born a slave, and as well as delivering mail, she also operated as an entrepreneur and restaurateur. Mary joined the Postal Service in 1895, earning a reputation as a formidable and intimidating delivery woman. She may have been a scary Mary, but she was reportedly kind to those who didn't cross her, and she loved children. Margaret Hamilton. For so long, we associated the achievements of NASA with sweaty-looking guys in mission control and brave male astronauts. In more recent times, the role of women has been highlighted, such as Margaret Hamilton. She was the team leader at MIT, or the Massachusetts Institute of Technology, when software was being developed for use in the classic Apollo moon missions. We're talking computer code here, pages and pages of it in an age before everything went on a hard drive. Hamilton was given the Presidential Medal of Freedom in 2016 and even had a Lego figure made of herself. The grossness of Versailles. You've probably seen the French Palace of Versailles in movies and TV shows, looking immaculate and gorgeous. And it was. But apparently, it had a major problem, as in people relieving themselves over the floors and walls of this architectural masterpiece. Why did they do this? There were toilets, but these tended to leak. Put it this way, you didn't want to be in the room underneath. Sweaty business. Ancient Romans attending the bloody and brutal activities at the Colosseum could buy their own piece of the action in the form of cosmetics. Hang on, gladiators and makeup? Was that a thing? It certainly was. People used a product made using the actual sweat of those poor fighters. It was said to help with your complexion. Fun for the fans, pretty horrible for the competitors. War beard. Before the mid-19th century, British soldiers weren't allowed to grow beards. In fact, facial hair wasn't seen as appropriate in society in general. When the Crimean War happened, it changed everything. It was cold out there, so a fuzzy layer of protection was needed. Plus, fighting men didn't have the time or resources to give themselves a shave. The hero status that came with beards led to an explosion of face fungus in the Victorian era. The Royal Mandela. Did you know that freedom fighter turned world leader Nelson Mandela came from a high-profile background? He was a member of the Xhosa royal family. His father, Gadla Henry Mfakeni-Iswa, was a local chief, and his great-grandfather was in charge of the Eastern Cape Province in South Africa. The injustice of apartheid fired up young Nelson, who ended up spending a large chunk of his life as a political prisoner before becoming president of South Africa in 1994. Genghis Khan was actually pretty tolerant. Incredibly, Khan was fairly open on the subject of religion. You could easily be slaughtered by Khan and his hordes, but it wouldn't be due to your belief system. Actually, many argue that he's one of the most misunderstood warlords in history. There are a few myths surrounding him, such as the idea he had any hordes at all. 7%. That's the percentage of idiots who believe you get chocolate milk from brown cows. Over 16 million people surveyed by the Innovation Center of U.S. Dairy in 2017 linked the color of the cow to the flavor of the milk. This is a relatively recent survey, but shows that people still believe old stories, no matter how crazy they sound. It's a nice idea, but the only brown stuff coming out of a cow is, well, parrots make great language teachers. Polly wants a cracker? Sure. Polly wants to teach an ancient language? The German naturalist Alexander von Humboldt traveled to Latin America in the late 18th and early 19th centuries. He found a tribe with a parrot who spoke the lost language of their enemies. They'd taken the bird, and inadvertently the language too. This bizarre parrot system has later been used in museums to keep the old ways alive. 1950s cars in Cuba. One thing you'll notice in Cuba is a surprising number of vintage American cars. This is because of the Cuban Revolution back in the 1950s, which rocked the country and saw Fidel Castro take power. America imposed embargoes on the territory, so Castro outlawed U.S. car imports. Despite ongoing tensions, there was a sort of plus side in that these classic cars were kept in good condition. Athletic smoking. Struggling in your cycle race? Why not light a cigarette? Certain riders actually did this at the iconic Tour de France in the 1920s. The thinking was that smoking opened your lungs and increased the capacity. Did it work? Well, when was the last time you saw a professional athlete lighting up during a competition? Not so pretty in pink. It sounds strange, but way back in history, pink used to be considered a boy's color and blue a girl's. The late 19th and early 20th century saw a kind of marketing push, where pink was described as a lighter form of red. So, the babies of presumably red-blooded males were encouraged to wear pink outfits. Meanwhile, blue was targeted at blonde-haired, blue-eyed girls. By the 1940s, customers had gone the other way, with blue for boys and pink for girls. Of course, today people wear any color they want to. No more mullets. If you visit Iran, you might want to change your hairstyle. You see, all hair-related stuff is under strict rules. They issued an approved haircut list in 2010. Ponytails are reportedly outlawed, and whatever you do, don't fly in there with a mullet. Why do they ban particular styles anyway? It's because of their connection to the West. I knew the mullet was bad, but I didn't know it could cause an international incident. Bicycle face. In the late 19th century, a medical article was published warning ladies against the dangers of bicycling, particularly the impact it might have on their looks. Yes, women, beware the bicycle, unless you want to look like a tired horse with bulging eyes. So, is so-called bicycle face a real condition? No, it was a desperate attempt to stop feminists from feeling independent. Even riding a bike was seen as a rebellious act that had to be stopped. Baboon Squad. In ancient Egypt, long before the police dog, criminals found themselves at the mercy of baboons. We know this because of artwork from the time. If you stepped out of line, chances are the pharaoh would want you torn to pieces by angry baboons. Just like canines, these animals were apparently trained and kept on leashes. Ostrakin. You've heard of the word ostracized, right? It's when someone is banned from society, but where did it come from? It dates back to ancient Greece. The ostrakin was made from ceramic shards or limestone, and you could write on it. These became ancient voting slips for people wanting to decide who was ejected from the town when a controversy happened. Satan the White House Dog. U.S. President John Adams had a dog named after the Prince of Darkness. Because Adams was the first president to live in the White House, that made Satan the first White House pet. What breed was Satan? We don't know, though we're guessing he was held to clean up after. Military juggling. Juggling is an entertaining thing to watch, but apparently it can be handy in a war situation. Xiong Iliao, who was fighting for King Zhuang of Chu in 6th century ancient China, must have been a formidable juggler as well as a swordsman. He picked up 9 balls and reportedly dazzled his opponents. According to one version of the story, this display made the enemy so disturbed they ran away. Worldwide weed. What lies behind some of the world's greatest inventions? Weed. In fact, this was the very first thing sold on the internet back in 1972. Yes, there was internet access in the 70s. Stanford University had the merchandise, and MIT wanted it. The drugs changed hands and history was made. Makes you wonder what other incredible things were possibly created by stoners. Who knew history could be this fascinating? If you enjoyed these fun facts, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe for more amazing discoveries. Stay curious, and see you next time